CMMG has a new Banshee out, the Mark 17. This one takes Sig P320 Mags. Let's take a closer look. Hi, I'm Jeremy Millette from International Sportsman, and the new CMMG Banshee is a departure from what they've done in the past. This one taking the Sig P320 Mags instead of the Glock magazines, and that may not appeal to some people depending on what you're looking for. If you have a lot of Glock magazines rolling around and you're a Glock guy, then you're probably just going to want to stay with that one. But if you've adopted the new Sig P320 like the Army, Marines, and whatever other branches of the military have it by this point, then this might be something that you want to look at. So we're going to take a look at this and see what's changed from previous Banshee models and what remained the same. So what's changed with the Mark 17 versus the previous Banshees? Well, not really a whole lot, except for the fact that it takes P320 mags. So they have three different versions of the Banshee lineup: the 100, the 200, and the 300 series. What we have in front of us here is the 200. So let's kind of go over what the differences are between them. So with a 100 in a pistol format, which by the way, all the Banshees are pistols or SBRs. If you want a full-size rifle in this configuration, then you're going to actually look for the Resolute Mark 17. So in the 100 series, you have just a plain pistol buffer tube back here. Or if you have the SBR, then it's your standard mil-spec stock. Now, on the 100, instead of having the MOE grip, you have your factory plain Jane AR-15 grip. And then everything else remains the same. Once you step up to the 200 series, which this one is, then you get an upgraded muzzle brake. You have the SB Tactical brace if it's a pistol. If it's a SBR, then you have the ripstock stock. Now, 200 series, you have the buffer tube, which is the fastback and allows you to quickly deploy the brace or the stock to whatever length you want. There's a set screw in the bottom that you can set, and it allows you to automatically move it to whatever section you feel comfortable with. So for me, if I pull it all the way out, that's where I want to be. Of course, you might want to adjust it to where right there may be the sweet spot. But again, that's the fastback buffer tube from CMMG. On the 200, you have a standard charging handle, and then your ejection port door is just a mil-spec ejection port door, and you don't have an ambi safety, so you have the single safety. Now, once you step up to the 300, the back remains the same, pistol grip remains the same, but instead of having a plain ejection port door, you have a Cerakote ejection port door, you have a larger ambi charging handle, and you have an ambi safety. Personally, I think that the 200 series is kind of the sweet spot between price and the features that you're getting. 200 series starts around $1,400. The 100 series is $1,200. So $200, but you're getting an upgraded stock, upgraded fastback buffer tube, and an MOE grip. I think that's well worth it. So even though there's a new model of the CMMG Banshee, some things remain the same throughout all the models. Our example here, the 200 series, has an 8-inch barrel that is a 1 in 10 twist rate for 9mm, which is fairly common in the industry. But the heart of the CMMG Banshee line is actually the radial delay blowback system. So this is a proprietary part to the Banshee lineup. And what are we talking about here when we say radial delay? Well, the bolt has radial cuts on it, and those radial cuts delay the opening of the gun, which decreases recoil, but The bolt carrier itself is also lighter weight, and that reduces felt recoil as well, since you don't have as much mass moving to the rear. Now, that does come with a trade-off, because if you want to run a suppressor, then you need to do a little bit of tuning. Luckily, CMMG thought of this, and you can add weights to the rear of the bolt carrier. Now, as you can see, ours doesn't have any weights. It's wide open here, but CMMG does sell those weights on their website, so it's as quick as just jumping on there and ordering some weights, and then you can tune it to your specific suppressor. Now, what is unique about this besides those cuts? Well, you'll notice that it's a spring-loaded bolt here, right? And that is different than your standard AR-15 bolt carrier. Also, the firing pin is spring-loaded as well. And on the gas key up top, you'll notice that it doesn't have a hole for a gas tube because it's a blowback system, but also it has a cut there to where you can remove the bolt. So CMMG really thought of everything with this system, and that is what is truly unique about the Banshee series versus other PCCs on the market. Now, this bolt carrier is a full auto carrier, so if you have a full auto lower, then it will work with that. Again, though, you might need to adjust your weights depending on timing and that sort of issue, but it will work in full auto lowers. Now, what else is unique about this versus other firearms is that the feed ramp is not an M4 feed ramp as you would see on a 5.56. So an M4 feed ramp has 2 grooves for the bullet because the bullets alternate sides. Well, with a 9mm, it's single, so you don't need to change from left to right because you always have one feed point. So they've made that one big dished out feed ramp instead of 2. So depending on what you're looking for in your PCC will really determine what version of the CMMG that you choose. So the 200 series here with the brace fully collapsed in is 24.4 inches long. Now on the 300 series, it's a little bit shorter, and they've added in a little handguard stop here so that you don't run up over the end of the barrel. But again, an 8-inch barrel is kind of a sweet spot for this in terms of accuracy, velocity, and everything else. And I mean, honestly, I think this is probably where most people are gonna wanna wind up. Speaking of accuracy, we took the CMMG MK17 out to the range to do some accuracy testing. We were shooting the Winchester Train and Defend 9mm. That's a 147 grain flat nose full metal jacket round. We tested some other ammunition as well. Everything ran flawlessly through the gun as you would expect. All 3 shooters at the range had no problem acquiring a 3-inch target from about 25 to 40 yards in a standing position. To test the accuracy of the Banshee, we set up about 30 yards away from the target and we shot 2 targets. The top target, as you can see here, measured 0.67 inches with 4 shots, and we had 1 flyer. If you include the flyer, the group size was 2.4 inches. On the second target, we sped up a little bit, but the group size was 1.5 inches. So overall, superb accuracy is what you would expect from a Banshee, and it did not disappoint. So why choose a CMMG Banshee MK17 over another pistol caliber carbine? Well, if you have a lot of Sig P320 mags laying around, then this is probably the gun that you want to get. Because right now, there aren't any guns on the market, at least to my knowledge, that use these magazines. If you have a Glock and you have a lot of Glock magazines, then you might consider a Banshee that uses Glock magazines. But CMMG in general, right? Why choose the Banshee over another brand? Well, we went over all the features and what makes this unique, but the Radial blowback system is really the thing that you need to focus on. It reduces recoil. It really lets you fine tune the gun with those weights to run with the silencer. And the fit and finish of the Banshee and the CMMG rifles is great, right? So which version would you choose? There's the 100, the 200, and the 300. Well, in my opinion, the 200 is the sweet spot because you get the fastback buffer tube. You get the upgraded pistol grip. Now, you don't have the charging handle or the ambi safety or the Cerakote door. If those things matter to you, then you might want to spring for the extra $300. If that doesn't matter to you, but you want a shorter barrel, then you have to step up to the 300 series anyway. I find that the 8-inch barrel does a good job between accuracy and velocity with the 9mm. And again, at only 24 inches long when completely collapsed, it's not overly long. So if you're looking for a home defense scenario gun, or a gun that you just want to go to the range and shoot some inexpensive ammo and have some low recoil, then you might consider this gun. So if you want to see more of the CMMG Banshee Mark 17, check out the article over on internationalsportsman.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, but for more photos and an in-depth review, you can read the article on International Sportsman. Now, if you have any comments, feel free to drop them down below. Are you going to buy the Banshee? What do you think? Will future guns use the P320 mags, or is Glock the de facto standard? Tell us below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.